magic on the stream, we can jump straight in.
All right, we should be live, Mike.
Yeah, I'm seeing we got a live on Periscope. It's looking. I'm looking for live on. You seeing Twitch? Okay, it looks like Twitch is good. Let's go to Facey. Yeah, Facey could be good. Yeah. And let's check YouTube. Yeah. Oh my God. It appeared all four of the wonderful video platforms are. Oh, actually, Facey live stream offline. No, Facebook is. Are you getting a positive on restream for Facebook?
I am.
Okay, let me check. Yeah, I'm getting a live thing, but I don't get the picture. Oh well, that looks good. Okay, are we ready to start the show, Mr. Chad Owen?
I think we are.
Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to the Moonshots podcast. We are here with myself, Mike Parsons, and of course, the man himself, Mr. Chad Owen. Hello, Brooklyn.
How are things in Sydney there, Mike?
They're sunny, and I'm assuming they're a little bit sunnier in Brooklyn, New York State, because you're looking a lot brighter and happier than last week.
Oh, yeah, I'm looking out in clear blue skies. Haven't had this in quite some time, so I've been spending most of my day outside.
Nice, nice. Well, there's a lot of good things happening on the Moonshots podcast as well. So it's shining upon us as well. And we had the good fortune to put live today, Chad, our Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk show. And I was like just listening to the show that we put out on SoundCloud and iTunes. And I just was like, I'm just amazed at how prolific, Jeff Bezos from Amazon and Elon Musk from Tesla are. I wanted to ask you if you just do entrepreneurs matter so much?
I, it's a really loaded question, but I think just their prolific testing and failing and testing and succeeding is what makes them so interesting and important to follow right now. I don't know of two entrepreneurs that are taking more big bets than Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos. And I think that's just what makes them so interesting to follow.
Yeah, they do. They definitely. There's a difference in this generation of entrepreneurs. It's like they're not only quite accepting of their hit and miss ratio, like some things are just not going to work out. But what's also unique is how open they are about it. It's like if you go back a few decades, business was all about secrecy and keeping up a good image, where these guys are championing a way of working that seems much more experimental, and they sort of invite you into the process, don't they?
Yeah, and there's a healthy rivalry between them. You know, every time the other is asked about the other, they kind of wryly smile and try to convince you that what they're doing is better than the other. And I mean, specifically around space, because you have Blue Origin, which is Jeff Bezos's company that's launching rockets into space, and you have SpaceX with Elon Musk, and it's been really interesting to follow the two of them. Where I would say, Jeff Bezos and Blue Origin have fallen behind. I think SpaceX is certainly taking kind of the prize in the top, private space companies in the world. But I think you're right in that they're both to different degrees good marketers for their big bets, and again, I think Elon is edging Jeff Bezos out in this regard, but it's always fun to see, what the other is doing.
Yeah, I think you're onto something there. I think definitely Elon is such a good marketeer. He just, I mean, and he does it very shrewdly because he plays up the cerebral mad professor archetype, right?
Mm-hmm.
Dreaming big. But I think that is in part also what Jeff does as well. They don't come to market with small ideas.
No.
They really swing for the fences. And, we talk a lot on the show about this idea of 10x, making things better. And in fact, that's really the idea behind the whole name of our show, the Moonshots podcast, is doing things that are 10 times better than what's available today. And I think there are no better examples of entrepreneurs who are constantly striving for 10x. I personally, I think it's incredibly inspiring. Not only can you learn from these guys and sort of decode and find some wisdom in how they approach things because they're so open about how they do it, but I think they're so ambitious to do something really, really dramatic. And I think that's what's so inspiring. What do you find really inspiring, Chad?
Well, a lot of things, but I think what I took from the show, comparing the two of them as composed to our individual shows with each of them, which I'd encourage everyone to go back and listen to. Our very first episode is our most popular with Elon.
Yes, yeah.
But Jeff, I think, is number 3 right now in terms of most popular episodes. What stood out to me comparing the two of them was how important it is to them to experiment and learn from those experiments. They're both very data-driven people, and these aren't just big bets because they're billionaires. They're big bets because they're expecting a return on that investment, and I know that each of them is measuring that return on investment that they're either getting or not getting from these experiments. So, while we may think that there's kind of some crazy billionaires playing in space, I know Elon Musk has the exact, fraction of the cost that his rockets, can get things into space as compared to other companies. He's always looking for a 2 times improvement here and 3 times improvement there, which is, an X improvement here overall, because like you said, he's always driving towards that 10 times improvement in what he's doing.
Yeah, I think there's a real method in their madness. I think that Jeff speaks a lot about this flywheel effect, which is the real magic of Amazon. And you and I have really spent a lot of time trying to understand why that works. Why is it that a e-commerce retailer can have video content that helps them sell more high heel shoes? Mm-hmm. Like the relationship between that. And that's another thing you can learn about in our show, which you can get from moonshots.io. I think I want to ask you, what do you think the Elon model is? Because he hasn't labeled something so clear as the flywheel effect, which aggregates all the Amazon activities. How would you pull together Elon's point of view? Is it his stream of possibilities that he talks about in his mental model? What do you think Elon's kind of innovation lens is? How does he tie it all together?
That's a good question. I think it goes back to the 10x thing. If he doesn't see an opportunity to improve whatever that product or service is by 10 times, he's not interested in it. And I think his metric is, how close to that 10x are we with this endeavor? I don't know what the SpaceX numbers are now, but I know that instead of costing hundreds of millions of dollars to put things into space, we're now talking about tens of millions. And so while he's probably not quite at 10 times cheaper, he's getting really darn close, especially kind of with every new launch, the introduction of the Falcon Heavy. Pretty soon we'll be launching the BFR, the big effing rocket into space, to decrease those costs even more. And so I think for him, and you've put it kind of in terms of specific use cases. What is a specific use case where he knows he can go in and deliver a 10x improvement? And I think Jeff Bezos is kind of more of like a portfolio model, and rightly so. Right. I mean, he comes from investment banking. You know, he cut his teeth in that world, so he knows the value of a diversified portfolio that is spinning off healthy returns, and that's precisely what he's done. Instead of, you know, giving dividends back to shareholders and throwing off lots of profits, he's reinvested it in seemingly disparate enterprises, but are, when you look at them as an entire portfolio, it actually makes a lot of sense. Yeah. And I think, you know, that is what sets Jeff Bezos apart from Elon Musk, and it's certainly an advantage that Jeff has in a company like Amazon with so many resources and like you said, that flywheel that just continues to spin.
Yeah, I love that. You're right. You certainly can never look at anything that Elon does and say, well, that wasn't very ambitious. You know, and I think this gets us to this idea of what can we take from Bezos and Elon. And for me, on the point that you just made, what's interesting is in the recent shows that we've been doing, there's been this real aha for me is, if you are thinking solving a problem in the world, or even creating a company in the world, be sure that you're solving a massive problem. And in fact, if it's what you're thinking of is a little bit better, don't even bother. And that's what I reflect on all the businesses that I've been involved in. And actually, I see a pattern. The more audacious, the bigger the sole business idea. In general, I can look at in 20 years of being an entrepreneur, I can see the ones that really did solve something big. Mm-hmm. Whether they ended up doing that specific thing or something else, always went far better than something that was incremental. It was a little bit better, but it's this 10x or nothing philosophy. This was big for me. I want to ask you, from doing the show on Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk, what was the big aha for you? What did you walk away with and go, yes, this is what I've got to learn from and understand?
I think I said it before, just their willingness to experiment and how they measure the results of those experiments. Kind of understanding how methodical each of them are in that, and how important it is, you know, to figure out what those performance metrics are and how you measure those.
So you're almost like, if I understand what you're saying, Chad, you're like, the fact that they conduct experiments with clear constraints. They have this, like, if it can get to A, B, or C, then we'll go forward. But if not, they kill it immediately and just move on.
Yeah, I mean, some of the experiments are easier to validate. It's like, did the rocket explode or not? It didn't, so it was a success. You know, I think the experiments that Jeff Bezos is running are a little bit more long-term. Kind of have to wait and see how they pan out. But he's just doing so many of them. I think that's really interesting, as compared to what Elon, you know, is focused on, really just kind of with his two core companies.
Yeah. Now, we deliberately did a show with, you know, Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos. If you start to look at how they are very different, I'm starting to see Bezos is sort of, his success and his legacy will be in the breadth of the impact that he makes. Okay. Like, he will have enormous scale. Okay. So he has breadth, but I think Elon almost has enormous height and ambition. He might not quite have the breadth, because I think Amazon, it's remarkable. I think they're getting into healthcare. They're 2-hour delivery for your groceries. I mean, they're becoming omnipresent. They are crushing competitors left, right, and center. Just get out of Amazon's way. That's a breadth play. But I wanted to ask you, do you feel like Elon is more like he's going for these truly audacious interplanetary goals. How do you see them different?
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head. His Elon Musk's focus on transportation and energy, he's going to have far more impact in those two arenas than I think any other entrepreneur that we've seen today. It's not to say that someone might not come along in the next few years. And Amazon's just going to keep eating more and more of our paychecks. There was a joke that I've heard, in Whole Foods had kind of this nickname of whole paycheck. Now Amazon, I think, is going to have that moniker now.
The Amazonian, it's just massive and everywhere. Now, so if anyone is interested in having a listen to the show that we did on Elon and Jeff, they can go to moonshots.io. People can get our show. Where else can people get our show? I think they can get our show on iTunes. What other podcatchers or places can they draw in all that insight and wisdom?
iTunes and SoundCloud. If you go to soundcloud.com/moonshots, I believe that's the URL. It might be Moonshots.
Moonshots.io.
Yes, Moonshots.io, or Moonshots.io. There should be links there for subscribing with whatever podcatcher you might have. But it's on the right-hand side on the SoundCloud page, and it's right there front and center on our homepage at moonshots.io.
Nice. Now, we've got some great shows coming up. We're going to have Mark Zuckerberg, the one and only Mr. Zuckerberg from Facebook. He's coming up. What were your thoughts on Zuckerberg doing a recording on him? And we'll have that in the not too distant future. Zuckerberg was pretty cool, man. He's pretty cerebral like Elon, right?
Yeah. Listening to some of his interviews from 2004, 2005 at the very beginning of Facebook was really enlightening to me, and kind of comparing where he is today, almost 15 years later. Not only the transformation of Facebook, but him as a leader of Facebook. He's probably going to be one of those, hopefully, founders that remain CEO of the company for a long time to come, and that gives him an interesting position as compared to other founders that move on from the CEO position and others.
Yeah, and actually doing the show on him inspired us. Well, in fact, it inspired you for our next show, which we're going to record on Thursday, US time. We'll do that live. Who did you get very fired up with? And then who's going to be the feature of our next show?
Sheryl Sandberg. I think I just wanted to learn more about Facebook and Facebook's leadership, and I think it was just only natural to hear from her. I think the transformation of Facebook post Sheryl's arrival is very stark, and I just wanted to learn a little bit more about that, and how she's supported Mark in leading Facebook kind of into this new world that they're finding themselves in. Kind of a reluctant world influencer.
Oh my gosh, talk about being thrust into the limelight. And I think one thing that I want to set up, because we're kind of preparing the show right now, and we'll be live everywhere on everything on Thursday US time. So check out the calendar invites on Facebook or your platform of choice. But here's the interesting thing: Zuckerberg, Sheryl Sandberg as his number two was something that made him distinct and far more successful than that of Travis from Uber. If you look at the path that Travis and Uber went and the hardship they had last year, I mean, they had an awful year last year. What's makes Zuckerberg to attract an executive of the talent of Sheryl Sandberg? I mean, in any other terms, she's a CEO at any other company. he had the ability to recruit her. And I think you can put a lot of their success in the last 5 years and the ability to deal with that limelight. A large part of that is attributable to her influence and her role in the company.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's exactly why I wanted to record a show with her so that we could do the research and learn about how she was able to do that. But, well, and also maybe hopefully learn why she wanted to join Facebook. I think that's also an interesting question because, as you said, she could be a CEO at most any other company out there.
Yeah. And she's written 2 great books, so we'll be talking about that. The famous one, obviously, is Lean In. The other really interesting thing about Sheryl is that her husband passed away a few years ago, and she has young kids, and she's the COO of Facebook. And so her second book, Option B, talks about overcoming that. So she is one remarkable powerhouse of a woman. And I think we've got a lot to learn from her in the next show.
Yeah, and for all of you people that are seeing this in your social media feeds, if you have any questions or things you'd like Mike and I to do research on between now and when we record the show, by all means, leave a comment or send us an email at hello@moonshots.io, and we will do our absolute best to find out for you.
Yep, absolutely. That's such a cool idea, Chad. Yeah, I want lots of questions and thoughts coming on in to help us frame the show. I can tell you in the preparation already, we have so many great insights from her. We're going to be in that tough position, Chad. It's like, we can't do all the clips. I don't know which ones are going to get in.
Yeah. Maybe we'll have to do, see, now I'm creating more work for us, but maybe we'll have to do kind of a clip that was left on the editing room floor here on the recap or promo for the episodes.
Yeah, there you go. That's a good one. I like it. Okay, well, look, I really love doing these preview shows, Chad. It gives us the chance to reflect on the new show that we've just launched. And as you just said, we get the chance to invite everyone to give us feedback on and ideas for the upcoming show. So great idea, Chad. I love that. I'm really pumped to do the Sheryl show. But for all our viewers, I would say go check out moonshots.io. Have a look at the latest show we just released today. It's Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos. So much to learn. If you're an innovator or an entrepreneur and you want to get some inspiration or wisdom or both, just listen to that show. It's jam-packed with goodies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and if you have any suggestions on who we should profile after Sheryl, by all means, let us know as well. But
absolutely,
we will see you at 5 o'clock Eastern on Thursday.
That's right,
about 9 a.m. Sydney time. Yep. And
we'll create lots of invites in all the social media platforms, so you don't even have to remember. So it would be a scheduled calendar event in your social video platform of choice. Chad, awesome to catch up. I'm pumped up to seeing you again in a few days to do the Sheryl show. And I really enjoyed riffing on our Bezos and Musk show. I might give it another listen on the way to my next meeting.
Yeah, and I hope to see some of you viewers on our live show this Thursday when we dig deep into the wisdom that Sheryl has to offer us.
Awesome. Okay, thank you, Chad. Thank you to everyone. This is the Moonshots podcast. We're pumped. There's a new show on moonshots.io. Check that out. And don't forget, in 2 days, we'll be recording another show where we dig into the world of Facebook and Sheryl Sandberg. That's it from us at the Moonshots podcast. We'll catch you around. Thanks, Chad.
See you, Mike.
Bye, mate. Thanks, everyone.